Now, I'd like everyone to join me on this journey of imagining. Close your eyes and join me on painting the following picture. Imagine a city with high-tech infrastructure, green buildings, and business zones. Imagine the city that includes fiber connectivity, green energy, smart water use, a city with smart transport systems, cashless public systems. Imagine cities that has drones for healthcare delivery, a city that leverages smart energy. Is that imaginable? You might not even have to think so far, because some of these are the lived realities of what smart cities look like today. And some of what I've mentioned are actually true to the African context. Now, this afternoon, Bia Swanepoel will open up for us on a focus on smart cities. Bia Swanepoel is the CEO of Jozi, and she'll be talking to us about smart cities and urban development, that this thing that we imagine. And I can't help but think back to one of President Cyril Ramaphosa's presentations. It must have been a State of the Nation address a couple of years ago, where he spoke about smart cities and some of those innovations that we're seeing today that 10 years ago might have felt very far-fetched, but today are our realities. As Africa urbanizes rapidly, smart planning is essential, and this is in line with sustainable development goals, as well
I wanted
as
to add, sorry, Matlodi, I wanted to add on your reference to President Ramaphosa's um, address and the promises and all of that. We're still waiting for the bullet train. We're still waiting for the bullet train.
please be okay with your train. Please take something. But absolutely that. So this afternoon, Bia Swanepoel, I'd like to welcome you to our meeting. How are you this afternoon?
Um, I'm well, thank you, Matlodi. How are you doing? Good
I am
afternoon, everybody.
well. I am well. We're eager to hear from you about these smart cities and how Africa can really take a stand in this urban development. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Can I just quickly confirm? Can you see my screen? Am I sharing it?
Yes, we're seeing
Okay.
Jozi in a nice mustard/yellow.
Very bright yellow. So
Love
thank you
it.
for the opportunity. I really appreciate it. We are a relatively young organization. We turned 2 on Friday, actually on Mandela Day, which is a major milestone for us. So we're not there yet. It's still a progress and a process, obviously, to get where we want to be. But for now, at least, Jozi is an organization that focuses initially only on Johannesburg. We started in the very small area called the inner city of Johannesburg to test our theories and our processes and our projects, etc. But the whole thing, the whole reason why we exist is to bring hope back to the residents of Johannesburg and to the people, to bring a pride back into the city that we all love so much. And the idea of us doing Joburg first is then to find a model that works for city revitalization and regeneration, and then start replicating that across South Africa, and eventually find a model that can be rolled out to the rest of Africa as a model that this is how you turn a city around. This is how you start bringing smart city concepts into the whole regeneration and turnaround, basically, of a city as well as a country. So before I start, let me just, I want to show you a quick video that explains who we are, what we do, and what our focus is. So I hope that the sound works. Let's keep our fingers crossed for now.
Jozi, my Jozi. This is the heart of Umzansi, a city that gets its heartbeat from its people. Phela, we're a city with great history, diversity and opportunity. Jozi, my Jozi. Yabona la, siya pusha, siya creator, siya dominator, lalela, siya operator. When they say resta, 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 we don't stop. We keep it moving. We are pioneers, lovers, and plugs. We are always chasing dreams right to the finish line. Jozi, my Jozi, the city of gold. But the gold of our city is we, the people. Our resilience, our culture, our creativity. We are the backbone and hope for our city. And together, we'll make Jozi the gold standard of cities around the world. A city that is safe for all. A city that is not built by skyscrapers, but by its people. A city where the unseen becomes seen and where the voiceless are heard. Some may look at our city and think, we have no way forward. But guess what? We will make one, because that is who we are. That is what we do. It's time for us, the people of Jozi, to make this city of gold shine brighter than it ever has. It's time for all of us to help fix and create a city we can all proudly call Jozi, my Jozi.
So I think that sums up exactly what we're trying to do. And you mentioned just now when we opened the session that it's the theme this year seems to be all about collaboration, but that is absolutely what we are experiencing. It does require collaboration between the public sector, the private sector, academic institutions, individuals. Everybody needs to work together if we want to change the cities that we are living in. And we need to make sure that we listen to the people, who's the invisible people, the residents of the people, doing this inside out, so that we understand what the youth of our country and our city wants. It is their city. It is them that will live here, that will work here, that will play here. So their voice in the revitalization of any city is incredibly important. And bringing that and overlaying that with smart technologies and smart city concepts, we don't have to, when you look at the rest of the world, follow a step-by-step process in creating a city that is world-class. We can jump straight to the best that there is available and also develop our own strategies and technologies so that it works for us. We are different. Joburg is different to the rest of South Africa, which is different to the rest of Africa. But you have to make sure that the solutions that you come up with actually works for the city that you're busy with, and that it's also sustainable and resilient. I think collaboration, sustainability, and resilience, those three words are definitely the words of 2020-25 going forward to take us to 2063. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind. And what we're trying to position Jozi, my Jozi, as is not as a project. We're not an organization. We are a movement. We want to keep on improving, keep on moving, keep on spreading the good work that needs to happen to turn a city around, so that more and more organizations, more and more civil organizations, private, public, it doesn't matter, that it keeps on building momentum until we get to a space where this is a normal for South Africa, and the same goes for any other country around the globe, so that it becomes a natural instinct for people and organizations to be active citizens. So we see ourselves as a movement rather than an organization. And it's also not another marketing campaign to market Johannesburg or the work that we're trying to do. We are doing this for the people, by the people. So firmly rooted in the Constitution, that gives us the mandate to do the projects that we are doing. And whether it's a small action, a big action, at least something happens, and we get people's involvement. And through all of these projects that we are implementing, and I'll talk a little bit about the projects and the vision that we've got, this is how you create a city that everybody can proudly call their own, because you're active and you've taken ownership of that. I mentioned that our aim is to inspire the people of Johannesburg, but it's more Gauteng and then eventually the whole of South Africa, to help bring hope back and instill pride back into our city. Our purpose is a super connector. So what we are trying to do is connect projects that is required on the ground to take the country or the city to a next level, to funding opportunities. So that we wanted to be that super connector, people who want to do good and where good is needed, bring those two together and make the magic happen. And trying through all of that to create that snowball of positivity that can change a country. So we've written this ode to the city. We have an amazing creative director. He's called Malusi Mhlungu, who's a world-renowned creative who's won numerous awards in South Africa as well as in the United States. Malusi was born in Johannesburg. So after he won the Young Creative of the Year award in America, he got the award in Cannes in France. He had this very South African accent. People said, well, how does it all work? How come you are representing America, receiving an award in France? Where are you from? And he said, I'm actually proudly South African. We got hold of him to say, Malusi, come home. You've done what you can do around the world. You've won the awards. Come home and come and help us change Johannesburg. And Malusi was living the high life in New York at that point with his cap in the wrong way around, drinking the best coffee and riding the metros. But he grabbed the opportunity to say, I want to get involved in the turnaround of my city and of my country. And if I can play a small role in that. So kudos to Malusi. He's now started his own agency through the assistance of Jozi, my Jozi, and he's doing an amazing job. And this is basically Jozi, my Jozi, his ode to the city that he loves so much. So we see ourselves as a catalyst for change for the better. I mentioned the super connector, where we're trying to connect projects to corporates or to social organizations who wants to make a difference. And it's actually a call of action to people to say, come and re-love your city, re-experience your city, and then reimagine what it could be like if you use what is required to make this the city of everybody's dreams. We are the Constitution in action, really working from the inside out, from the ground level to the top. We've seen so many times that promises are made on changes that's coming, or projects that's coming, or benefits to people. And then I think the disillusionment that follows, and people are sick and tired of promises. Our whole methodology is to do the projects and then talk about it, so that it's not empty promises on how life will be improved. We can show you and tell you after you've experienced the change. So we are all about story doing. That is the methodology for Jozi, my Jozi. And how do you then take a city that is so much in the news, with all the safety and security issues, with the homeless issues, social issues that we're experiencing? How do you change that around? Where on earth do you begin? So maybe a little bit of background. Jozi, my Jozi is a non-profit organization. We are also a public benefit organization, fully funded by the private sector. So we, as an umbrella organization, represent the voice of the private sector. We've got around 200 odd corporates who've now formally signed up to Jozi, my Jozi, and adopt projects. So when we do projects, whether it's in the safety and security space, whether it's in the social space, whether it's arts and culture, it doesn't matter. We present those projects to our partners, and they will adopt them, so that we can step out of the way and they can feel the impact, they can live the impact, and they can talk about the impact, and they feel that they've done something as an active citizen doing that. So we don't have a pot of money at the end of a rainbow, not at all. We are just that super connecting to projects and organizations where there are corporate social investment that needs to be spent, where there's sustainable development budgets that need to be spent. And our experience is that corporates kind of ran out of ideas on what to spend that money off that you are from a regulatory and legislative point of view mandated to spend. We now give them options to say this is where your money will have the biggest impact. And impact for us is incredibly important, and we measure the impact based on the 17 SDGs from the United Nations, and also looking at the social impact measurement tools that there is, so that you look at it holistically. If we do a project, what is the impact on improving people's lives, on job creation, and on making sure that the city is improved from either a smart city perspective or a city that can attract investment back. We mentioned collaboration. It's been a word that's come up a lot today. Public sector, they own the infrastructure. They are a key player in all of this. So we work very closely with the City of Johannesburg, their council, very closely with the Gauteng province, the legislature there, but also national government, all in the public sector sphere that either needs to give us approval to do projects or work with us on the projects. Our primary aim is to do this collaboratively so that it is seen as the public sector and the private sector, as well as civil society, coming together and showing that in the true sense of everything that Mandela stood for, because we are building this on the Constitution, that this is a combined process and that there's unity in everything we do. You can't do that without the academic institutions. So we partner a lot with the University of Johannesburg, with WITS. There's a private university called Maharishi Invincibility Institute. It's a free university for people who are not able to afford other university options. And we use them to do studies for us. There's a lot of knowledge. There's been a lot of research from the academic institutions that typically they keep very close to themselves into their chest. We are encouraging them to share those research with us, to share the solutions that they come up with, and that the students take accountability as well for the future city that they will live in. Then there's, due to circumstances in Johannesburg and probably same reason in the rest of our country and everywhere else, is residents associations that started popping up, community improvement districts starting popping up, all individually managed and privately managed. We encourage them to also join Jozi My Jozi. So we work very closely with those residents associations and the community improvement districts as a sustainability leg to all of the projects that we are doing. South African Tourism Organization, very, very important partner to Jozi My Jozi, talking and spreading the word and getting tourists back to invest some of their currencies into Johannesburg. Then obviously you're looking at your non-governmental organizations as well as individuals, which plays a major role in all of this. So how did we start? When we started talking about Jozi My Jozi, actually 3 years ago we started, but officially formalized ourselves into an organization of some sorts 2 years ago. We did a lot of research, talked a lot to all the people who's living the life in Johannesburg, who understands what is happening on the ground, and basically came up with exactly the same hierarchy as that Maslow is actually advocating and talking about. Where do you focus first? So first of all, we have a lot of projects in the safety, security, environment sphere. That is the basis that everything is built on. You won't make an impact in the commercial sphere where we want to get investment and job security if there's still this continued perception of a safety, security, environment issue in Johannesburg, in the metro, but also in the province. So a lot of project focus went into improving the statistics that we see in that environment. After that, you look at the social impact. Johannesburg has a big problem with homeless and social issues. How do you sustainably come up with a process and a project and a solution that can address the homeless situation that we're experiencing, together with all the social ills that is associated with that? Our third pillar then is a lot about education, where we need to make drastic impact on ground level. So we're looking at playgroups, We're working a lot with the Department of Education in terms of early childhood development centers. How do you sustainably establish those? How do you make sure it's registered? How do you analyze the information? Where are the gaps in the environment? If you look at a map, where are the kids not able to go to an early childhood development center before they go for the first time to a formal primary school? So making sure that the whole value chain of going to school is complete, and that there's adequate and sufficient play groups, etc., to get the kids ready for school. Also making no distinction between whether you're a resident, whether you are a visitor, or whether you're a migrant. It doesn't really matter. Our kids are important for us, for the future of our country. And then closing the loop, we call it the last mile. How do we get the kids safely to school? How do we make sure that there's food available for the kids? How do we make sure that the kids at the end of their schooling career knows what options are available to them in terms of future careers? Not everybody can be a lawyer or an accountant. What other options are there? Entrepreneurial skills for us is very, very important. We're trying to encourage and foster that. One of the previous speakers said about the Lego blocks, how they use that in education. That is vitally important for us. We also work very closely with the Lego Foundation in making sure that the skills that you need can be transferred just using 6 blocks. So that is a process that we are following. After that, when your basis and your basics are in place, how do you build communities again? What we've seen time and time again is communities band together, and we form communities, and we get to know your neighbors and your other people in your precinct through sports, through arts, through culture. That is how communities are formed. So once you've sorted out the building blocks and the basics are in place, you can start going into community fostering, that where we look after each other, and I've got your back and you've got my back. So that for us is critical. One of the, if you look at on the side, is the traffic revitalization program that we are busy with, where we are working closely with the taxi associations through all of the different spheres that they've got, from national, provincial, also to local. They've got a massive role to play and has been sidelined up to now. If you look at 78, 82% of our country makes use of informal transport, and those are the guys who is actually moving our gold around. Our gold in South Africa is our people, so they are so critically important. How do we get them to also play a role formally in safety and security, in helping us with education, getting our kids to school safe, etc.? So working very closely with them. We've signed collaboration agreements and are talking and taking all these relationships to the next level to make sure that it is a combined effort of people trying to make a difference. Obviously, this year with South Africa being the G20 host, it is important to make sure that we foster at least an environment that showcases South Africa. So we are not just busy in Joburg, although that is our initial focus. There's pop-ups. We're talking to Bloemfontein, we're talking to Cape Town, we're talking to Kimberley, we're talking to Tshwane, in making sure that the country is at least ready to host and receive the G20 visitors. Tourism is important. What we are seeing in most of the statistics is tourists come in, they fly straight over Johannesburg, go to the Kruger Park, or they go to Cape Town. But Joburg has got so much to offer tourism. This is the heartbeat of South Africa. This is our economic hub. And people are trying to avoid this with everything in them. How do we get them back? How do we foster that perception of trust, and that it is a good place to visit, that there is opportunities for people to see amazing architecture, amazing art, culture, sporting events, etc., etc. So that is the basis of basically what we're focusing on, our functional focus areas. But if you look at the little pinnacle, the top of that triangle, we need to bring commercial activities back to Johannesburg. We need to be able to make a difference in people's lives and their livelihoods, get people out of poverty and make sure that there's job opportunities for them. Whether it's in cleaning, whether it's in tech, whether it's in coding, it doesn't really matter. I think the fourth industrial revolution and everything that has happened with AI, etc. There's so many opportunities. We just need to grab them and make sure that Johannesburg doesn't get left behind. And that's the same goes for other cities. So when I say Johannesburg, it's because that is where we are focusing at the moment. This is our ground zero. Everybody would have seen in the media, for example, if Joburg falls, South Africa falls. So let's try and save our city so that we can make a marked impact on South Africa. I said it's all about story doing. So some of the projects that we have done, if you look at safety and security, which is our base pillar, where we needed to make the impact and the projects, first of all, we said as a first challenge to ourselves, let's fix the Nelson Mandela Bridge. Through the years after the 2010 Soccer World Cup, things have just progressively fallen into disrepair. The bridge was very unsafe. The bridge also forms the connection between Wits University and the inner city of Johannesburg. And on either sides of the bridge, you've got the university and one of the big taxi ranks in the city of Joburg. There was an unsafe zone with a lot of bad things happening to the students crossing that bridge. The lights didn't work. The glass, as you can see, the glass panels were all shattered and vandalized. So through collaboration with the city and with the support and assistance, we've managed to fix all of the lights on the Nelson Mandela Bridge. We put the color lights back on, which is incredible. You can change it as things happen. For Mandela Day now on Friday, we'll make it sure that it's in the colors of the national flag. And it's all done through private investment. So private companies investing back and making sure that the city is slowly but surely standing up. The lights that we are installing is solar lights. So the current street lights, recent statistics show that about 91 or so street lights in Johannesburg is not functional. It's various reasons. It's from cables being stolen or the lights being vandalized. So what we're doing is taking off the infrastructure and then installing solar luminaires for the street so that it's always lit up. There's nothing for vandalized or for people to vandalize. And we make a real difference in terms of green energy, carbon credits, carbon reduction, and also taking the load of the grid that South Africa also struggles with. So we've installed to date just over 620 lights. The next 500 lights are being installed before the end of August. And then every 3 months, we'll start installing 500 additional lights. The process for the lights, eventually we'll install around 7,000 solar street lights in Johannesburg in the metro. And we are now at the point where we are talking to the suppliers to say, we're bringing in the light as a unit, but that is not what Jozi My Jozi is all about. That's not what the country needs. Yes, we need lights to make it a safer place, but we also need job creation. So they will now start sending us the lights in components. We will get factories and assembly plants going so that we can employ youth, train them how to do that, and we can manufacture, install, or assemble the lights at least in South Africa itself. So there's a discussion with Treasury, a discussion with our revenue service to reduce the import taxes and the levies that you need to pay so that it's a sustainable business going forward. That's also then a process that you can replicate to Tshwane, to Pietersburg, to Cape Town. It doesn't, the whole country needs solar street lights at the end of the day. So that is a sustainable industry that we're trying to establish. We've also embarked on, if you look on the screen, from trash to art projects where corporates go out, smaller teams, they collect trash on the streets of Joburg, making sure that it's a cleaner space, but then using the trash to create art, the most beautiful art. You can see there, Buthelezi is, Mugeni Buthelezi is his name, a brilliant artist who uses the trash that we select from, that we collect from the streets. He's using it to make the most incredible art, which is now displayed big in Standard Bank's head office in Rosebank because it's so beautiful. But prints of that is going up in the city so that you can see your trash is worth something. Use it carefully, use it wisely, make sure that it gets to the right place. Don't just throw it on the sidewalks, for example, but it's education that goes hand in hand with that. How do you do that? There's also presentations on how do you sustainably recycle waste that is generated in the city. So we're working closely with the Consumer Goods Council, with all of their different partners, on how do you go about making sure that it's responsible packaging, but also that the people gets educated on how do you separate its source, for example. Imagine how quickly you can turn around the city in terms of cleanliness and make the burden on the now I forgot the word, but anyway, from the out of my mind, but making sure that we don't get a lot of waste on the waste dumps. That's the word I'm looking for. And you can create something beautiful with it. Last year, we had a big Mandela Day cleanup where 25 to 30 companies eventually joined us. We were over 4,000 people segregating or coming together at Ellis Park and then walking the streets, spreading the news, cleaning up the streets, making sure that the people get to experience Johannesburg, but also spreading the message that collaboration between different organizations is actually where the magic lies. I know that the banking sector, the different banks are not allowed to work together for various reasons, except for Jozi, my Jozi. The registrar has said, if you guys are doing something for good, there's no competition. This is for good. So we could get all of the banking giants to work together to help support Jozi, my Jozi. Big project that we've done is the Ellis Park cleanup last year for the big match in August, where the Springboks played against the All Blacks, which was like a rerun of the Rugby World Cup final. And in a matter of 6 weeks, working together with the city of Johannesburg, with the province, we could turn the whole precinct around, making sure that there's lights, that the roads were fixed, road markings where their security was in place. PRASA started with the trains again. Gautrain was working and running. Everybody played their little part to make sure that this was the best rugby match that South Africa has done since '95. And with 65,000 people who attended that match in the end, not one incident of crime was reported, not one. So people could see that the precinct was upgraded. You could feel the change in Johannesburg, and they played their part. And it was just a magical experience. We've also, on safety and security, started branding traffic controllers who's in the city. We have launched a traffic security academy through the Maharishi Institute, where they train security guards. Instead of the normal 3 to 6 weeks, it's a 3-year course where they teach them from intelligence to ninja skills, etc. And 300 young students come out of that academy every year, gets grabbed up by the security industry, and it's job creation and a safe city, and we brand them Jozi, my Jozi. We don't own the brand belongs to the people. So it is something that we want the people to really get into and own. So I love New York Cap, for example. We spoke about the New York example of how New York turned themselves around. It was all in uniting behind a brand. So we made this personal. It's Jozi, my Jozi. I own it. I will keep it safe. I will keep it clean. So this is happening. Anglo-American, if we look at our education, if you remember the triangle that we had, education is such an important part of it. And with Anglo-American donating one of their buildings when they relocated to Rosebank, was donated to the Maharishi Invincibility Institute, which allowed them to go from 1,000 students that they could educate annually to 7,000 students. All come from the surrounding areas around Johannesburg, who otherwise would not have had the opportunity to get any kind of skill or tertiary education. So they're making a massive, massive contribution towards changing people's lives. And then Anglo also gave one of the other buildings to Wits Business School, so that we, as soon as an entrepreneurial developer or entrepreneur wants to get some assistance, how do I take my business to the next level? Where do I get that support? Where do I get the knowledge? This is where they can go, and Wits is providing that service to them. So with all the work that has happened, Transnet has announced that they are moving back into the inner city of Johannesburg, which is incredible, which is a massive, massive win. With everything that has been happening and how the city has been improving over the last couple of months, they showed that they believe in the future of the city and they're moving back to the inner city, which is incredible for us. I mentioned that it is important for communities to get together. How do you do that? You make spaces available for them where they can come together. So one of the parks that we started with initially was a park, the Donald Mackay Park in Berea, very, very much known for the drugs in that city and for vagrants taking it over and just an overall bad element, so that the residents of Berea and Hillbrow could not really use that park. When we started upgrading the park, putting some security in there, upgrading the sports facilities, putting a food garden there, for example, you can see the pictures there of beautiful, how beautiful it now looks. The community took ownership of that park, and it's a really big space on the brink between Hillbrow and Berea. Not one incident anymore. So they move out all of make sure that the drug dealers don't come back, make sure that the bad element in the crime doesn't come back. So the infrastructure that's been there for almost a year now looks exactly the same. You can see that the people are using it. They've organized themselves into little sports teams, especially around the basketball and the soccer. It's always busy. It is a place where people now get together, where they can get out of their residences and spend some time outside. I've mentioned the solar lights that they've installed. The next solar lights end of July, beginning of August, that will be in place. So that is what we are all about. When I bring in the smart city element, once the basics are in place, the next level for us is to bring technology in to make sure that the city stays safe. That is by using cameras and linking that into control centers, monitoring facial recognition, monitoring number plate recognition, etc., and keeping an eye on what is happening in the city. So we are densifying the rollout of the CCTV cameras, overlaying that with AI and intelligence, so that you can proactively respond to any incident. So if you see anything untowards in the city, we've got the students now, we've got the private security, all with cameras that they can link into the control centers that we've decentralized back into the city, so that there's manned properly with a representation from private security, Johannesburg Metro Police, as well as the South African Police Services, so that we can actively respond to anything, or proactively respond, and not only when something has gone wrong already, to make sure that our city is a safer zone. CCTV cameras I spoke about, solar streetlights I spoke about, the sector response centers are going up with the collaboration and support from Gauteng as well as the city, and then all of the different spheres of protection, whether it's Johannesburg Metro Police or the SAPS, and then also to make sure that the traffic lights are always in place. It's adopted traffic light, where corporates adopt traffic lights around their area. We make sure that the cabling from the traffic lights to the corporate who is adopted is securely protected, so that it won't be vandalized and the cables being stolen. So all of that ensures that the traffic flows, that the city is a safer zone. We are busy with hard work and coming up with solutions to address homelessness. How do you do that? First of all, there is no information on how many people we are talking about when you talk about the homeless, because it's not a group, it's not a collective, it's an individual. We can never ever forget that homeless are an individual. So how many individuals are homeless? What are their circumstances? Why are they homeless? What is the solutions needed? So Jozi, my Jozi, together with the city and the province, are doing a point count, so that we can understand what is the problem that we're dealing with, what solutions can work, and then coming up with a tech solution actually that takes compassionate giving, all the money that the public is providing homeless people and beggars at street lights, at traffic lights, giving them 5 Rand or 10 Rand. How do you take that compassionate giving and turn it into responsible giving using technology, so that the money that is provided to those people doesn't end up in terms of drug usage or abuse of liquor, but that it actually funds the solution in addressing the problem. That we are almost ready to crack, because of the fact that Johannesburg doesn't have the infrastructure in place yet in terms of shelter space. We are trialing the solution in Cape Town. We're working very closely with them on that side. where they have the shelters and the infrastructure in place to test the solution, and then sort out all the niggles while we're getting the shelters in place together with the city and the province, so that we can give people accommodation from that point of view. So collaboration, not between public and private, but also between cities and between different political parties. It requires everybody actually to work together if we want to change the world. Education, ECD, early childhood development, the registration process of that, and then helping them to tick all the boxes that is required for an ECD to be able to receive a subsidy from the state. So there's a couple of things that needs to be in place from a safety and security and an infrastructure for each and every play group or an early childhood development center. And by using and going to the private sector as part of their CSI contributions, or even their staff who really are looking for places to do good in, they just don't know how and where to get involved. We can lift up the ECDs to make sure that they are on a level so that they can receive the subsidies. And there you've got your sustainability again. We're working with primary schools, high schools, and then installing technology centers in the city by working with our private sector sponsors and partners in the technology area, so that there is opportunities for kids. And when I look at kids in the Soweto area and Alexandra and in the inner city and all government school areas, the kids doesn't have the opportunity to get exposure to technology. They don't have computers, they don't have education or exposure to coding, for example, and access to AI. Everything that is needed when the kids actually get out of school, that's where the focus will be in terms of jobs that would be available. So we are establishing these technology centers where it's specifically for kids after school, where they can come and we will teach them. It's going to be free of charge, but there will be a process for the kids to get exposure to that. While the kids are in school in the morning, it is available for young people, unemployed people in the city, so that they can also get the skills that they need so that they can go and apply for some jobs. By working with the technology industry, people who they see are really have a lot of potential, then that will be the pool that they can source of. So it's a multi-pronged approach, making sure that education reaches everybody, especially if you look at the future and what the impact of AI, etc. will be. Sports, arts and culture. We've done a lot of projects in the city already. I've mentioned one in the park, but there's a couple of them that we've done where we've created little sports fields where people can come together and just play sports and get active outside, where they are in a safe zone and where it promotes people to get together and to build communities. So children's theatre, very, very important for us, working together with the National Children's Theatre Organization to give kids the opportunity. And also theatre and book readings, etc., are happening in the parks where we've upgraded already, so that the young kids can get exposure to that. You can be an artist, you can be a writer, you can be a poet, you can reach for the stars, and these are the options and the routes that you need to take. So it's just making sure that people are treated with dignity and giving the information that they need. And then at the end, when all of that is in place, then we will make sure that we get investment back into the city. I'm not going to go through all of the rest. I think we still need to get to some time for questions and answers. But a big project for us that we've done 3 gateways already. If you look at the city of Johannesburg and in particular the inner city, how do you improve? There's only 12 or 13 ways to get into the inner city of Joburg. How do you make sure that when you come into the city and you leave the city, it's a positive experience and you start influencing perceptions around that? So we are including lights, cameras, beautification, it's murals, it's mosaics. And what we are doing with all of the murals and mosaics is take extracts from the Constitution. So especially from the preamble that very few people have read actually, but making sure that quotes from Nelson Mandela, quotes from the preamble is there for people to see, to understand what is your rights, what is the future, what was it that Mandela had in mind when he said, we are the Rainbow Nation and we will be one. And it's all of those things that just makes it so incredibly special to come into Joburg at the moment. No matter where you go, this is what we want. We want people to see a beautiful, safe space where you feel welcome and where we can slowly but surely start to influence perceptions. Once again, linking it back to technology, we're working with the CSIR, which is our research institution, with a lot of models on how do we, once we've got the basics in place, how do we make sure that we move to a smart city? So that the next beacon of hope is going to be Joburg, where other countries and other continents can come and see how does it work? How do you make sure that you can use technology and the people and get everybody collaborating? How does it work when people just come together and be one? So that is Jozi, my Jozi. We've got a website. If you guys want to read up on us or want to get involved, I'm more than happy to receive your comments. But yeah, that is Jozi, my Jozi, and that is how we are trying to change the world. So thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate that.
Ah, Bea, your passion is infectious.
I'm very passionate about Johannesburg, really, really, and about the people. That is, for me, is non-negotiable. Our people are worth the effort, definitely.
Sorry, Matlodi, I would like to carry on. Sorry, Matlodi, I'm sorry. I just wanted to say, Bea, do you need 2 more hours? 2 hours more?
I need a whole day, probably, Sam.
Yes.
It's very
Over to
challenging
you,
for me to
Matlodi.
Your passion is infectious, Bea, and I can't help but think to myself, if we all had that same fervor for the spaces in which we live. In fact, as you were speaking, and I just remembered or thought back to that video that you played for us in the introduction, Jozi, my Jozi. It's that love, right? And if that can transcend from Jozi, my Jozi, to Mzansi, my Mzansi, and one day to Africa, my Africa. But ultimately, you've shown to us that building these sustainable operational cities, it starts with one. I love how you're passionate even about the plight of the homeless, that it's not just a group of numbers of people, it's one person.
Yes.
And it's so evident in how you've presented this initiative that it starts with one. The power of one can transcend all those limitations. We're often waiting for government to come and solve these issues for us. I can't tell you how many times we've stood at traffic lights and just lamented, like, oh, this traffic light's out again. It's not working. Oh, city of Ekurhuleni, what are you doing? City of Tshwane, what are you doing about that? But you've shown us that there is capability if we just expand the way that we think and take ownership for our cities. So thank you so much for that, Bea. Thank you so much. There is a question from Cecile, and she is asking, what are some of the effective ways for local SMMEs? Cecile is a business owner. So she's asking on behalf of that community of SMMEs, what are some of the effective ways for SMMEs to align with the city as well as with Jozi My Jozi and the revitalization goals to help SMMEs gain exposure through your project, especially any activations or retail touch points that you might have?
So good question. Thanks, Cecile. In the video as well, we say we're making the unseen seen. So where you've got SMMEs doing incredible work and they're struggling to survive, but they've kept at it, those are the guys that we would love to make contact with. See, how can we help you to grow one step at a time? Because we're also very cognizant of the fact you can help somebody and in the process kill them. So how do we help you so that we can connect you to people who can make sure that you are successful? So being that super connector, get hold of Jozi, my Jozi, go to our website, connect with us there. And then what we're trying to do is make sure that the SMMEs are sustainable and that we make sure that they can grow little by little. That's where the job creation also plays into the hands of what we're trying to do. So please get hold of Jozi, my Jozi. Our focus is on getting the small SMME, small business owners, even the individuals who's selling ngwenyas at the end of the street. How do we take them to the next level? How do we sustainably make sure that they can grow? Because that's the future of our country, is really in making sure that those entrepreneurs are supported to the best of our ability. So please get hold of us. They are the ones that we need to get hold of.
That's right. Sure. And everyone must collaborate, like you've rightfully said. It's businesses, residents, everyone has a piece of the puzzle that they fit into. And all
Start
the
around
voices.
yourself. Yeah, use your area as a starting point. And even if you start small, just start. Give that first step and make a difference. You don't have to save the whole world. Even your little sidewalk in front of where you are, just clean that and you'll see it'll start spreading. Good things are really, really contagious. So we've seen so many examples of a small little butchery shop in Ekurhuleni actually who started cleaning their sidewalks. That whole block is now sorted out because of one person who made the decision, I'm going to clean the sidewalk in front of my shop. So guys, it's take the first step. That's the biggest and that's the most challenging, but you'll be rewarded tenfold. I can promise you that. I'm a living contestant of that.
Sure. We can see it. It's evident. Your passion is bubbling over, and we're grateful to have citizens that are responsible, that are active, that play their role as active citizens amongst us in South Africa. And you've really inspired us to take up this challenge of sustainability and look within. Look around us in our immediate environment. I can't wait. Maybe there'll be a Jozi My Jozi 2.0, which is Pitori My Pitori. For Pretoria.
You'll come up with a better name. Oh, Shona, I'm just kidding. Thank you, Mathodi. I really appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for allowing me the opportunity. I appreciate that.
Sure. Sam, do you have any comments for Bia?
No, I just wanted to say thank you so much, Bia. And I mean, to Mathodi's point, would the brand continues to be Jozi My Jozi? It doesn't matter which city you go. And I'm asking the question based off of Africa expansion. You go to Nairobi, you go to Lagos, you go to Accra, you go to Cairo. What to replicate what is successful in Johannesburg metro. What would then the brand be? Or yeah.
Well, we'll help them, but each of these cities have got a unique word that they use. So Jozi is the pet name for people who feels really passionate about it. And so you will find a name for each country, Mzansi, RSA DNA. It doesn't matter where you go. There is a specific term. You just have to play around with it and speak to the people to see what is it that captures their imaginations and captures their attention. So I don't see Jozi My Jozi as being the name used or being replicated in the same manner. It all depends on where you are and what is special and unique to that area or to the country. And that's what people will respond to. You have to speak to their hearts. I think that is the main thing. Get to the hearts.
Indeed. Thank you so much. You're building a classic model, for the cities across the continent. Thank you to you and your team at Jozi My Jozi.
Thank you very much, Sam. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Really commendable. Thank you, Bia.